I'm short, I know, but
Did you? I'm short, I know, but goodness.
he is.
Good evening, everyone. Would you please stand? Give your attention to the American flag up here for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can everyone hear okay? Everybody good? Good evening and welcome to the April 12th work session for the MSD School Board. My name is Don Lips and I am serving as the president of the school board for this calendar year of 2021. To my left are two other board members, Matt Hankins and Michelle Ball. And to my right, we have Jackie Deckard, our secretary, and Heather Staggs, our vice president. Again, we want to welcome you and thank you for taking the time to come here this evening. This is the third of the 3 work sessions that we've had over the course of the past 8 days. A week ago, Monday, April 5th, we met with 2 groups. We had 2 work sessions for 2 groups of our teachers, secondary teachers, and also our elementary teachers. The school board has asked for this meeting for 2 major reasons. One, we think it's important that we hear your voice. This meeting tonight, of course, is directed for the parents of our students and for community members. So number one, we think it's important that we hear what you have to say about our school district moving forward and suggestions that you might have on how we can make our schools better. And then secondly, we think it's important that we open up a line of communication between you, the public, and between the board up here that you have elected to serve. We have chosen a work session because that is the, according to state law, the format where all board members can be present. We are thinking about, and probably in the future, we will have some town hall meetings. But in those meetings, we can only have 2 board members. So we thought it was important enough here with the teachers and with the community members and parents All board members wanted to be here, so therefore we have a work session. The work session, by law, is open to the public. This tonight is again focused for the public and for parents and community members, but we also have, or may have, teachers, we may have administrators here this evening, we may have other parties. I know we have media here, so when I say welcome, we're talking a welcome to everyone that is here this evening. This meeting is also videotaped, and it is recorded. Like you, if you're a parent, all board members up here, we're parents. Every board member has had a student that has graduated from Martinsville High School, and we have 2 board members who currently have students in our district, Michelle and Heather. So again, we are invested, and we think it's important that we hear what you have to say. The mission of the board is to take all this information that we collect. Again, we heard from teachers a week ago, community members here this evening. Our mission here is to collect all this information, to piece it together, and to use it to help formulate our plans on how we want to move over the course of the next couple years. With this forum, we are asking for your participation, and we're also asking for your cooperation. The purpose of this forum is to get your input on what you want from our schools and how you think our district can become better. We are asking that we all stay professional in our comments. This is not a complaint session. The purpose of this meeting, again, is to get ideas, your feelings, on what we can do as we move forward to make things better than what they are today. According to our school policy, it reads, it shall not be permissible to orally present or discuss complaints against individual employees of the MSD of Martinsville at any board meeting. Such charges or complaints shall be presented to the School Board of Trustees in a written fashion and shall be signed by the person making that charge or that complaint. So there is a forum for a complaint against an individual or employee or a program, but tonight is not that forum. Please don't misunderstand this. We want your ideas. We want your input about ensuring the success of our programs, but specifically, we're requesting that you eliminate any direct attack on any employee of the MSD or the mention of any student names or situations. When we sent this message out, we had a couple highlighted questions, food for thought. Obviously, we're open to what other suggestions you have here this evening. One question we sent out to you was, what do you believe is important for your child or for our students to have and experience a successful school here in the MSD of Martinsville? And number 2, what would you like to see developed in the MSD of Martinsville during the next couple of years? We will ask for volunteers. I know we have some people who have come here tonight and they have signed up to speak. If you did not sign up to speak, you're still eligible to speak. You don't have to have signed up. So as we go through this meeting here this evening, if you get the urge to come up to the microphone, you'll have that opportunity to do so. Again, this is a general format. If you are not comfortable with coming up here and speaking or being on the mic or having it recorded, there are surveys that we have at the table that maybe you picked up. And if you have something that you would like to suggest or say, you can fill out that survey and drop them in the box here as you leave this evening. We would like to ask that when you do come up and speak, if you would identify yourself by telling us what your name is. Does anyone have any questions on the format here this evening? Again, we thank you, and we'll begin.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to see so many faces in the crowd tonight. I'm Julie Reeves, and I'm a 1987 graduate of Martinsville High School. I also am a parent. I have a senior, Katie, who's about to walk across the stage next month, and I've got a freshman son, Jack. Both are involved in athletics as well as academics here at the high school. And I wanted to talk tonight, I wanted to piggyback a little bit on what Mr. Stout had to say at last week's meeting with the teachers. I really appreciated his comments. After being a student here all these years and then having my kids go through the system, I've never seen an opportunity like this. I've been going to school board meetings regularly since 2017. I've spoken at many of those meetings, as many of you know, and I cannot recall a time when we had a forum like this to be able to talk amongst ourselves with the board, with the administration. I think it's awesome. I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for affording this opportunity. And probably the thing that I would like to see most moving forward for our corporation is this. I can't remember, just a couple of times in the last 4 or 5 years when I've seen this many people at a board meeting, and I would just encourage all of you, if you feel like you are a big stakeholder in this corporation, be here just as often as you can. Stay up to date on what's going on with our corporation. We're all on the same team. If you have concerns tonight, I would encourage you to be part of the solution, be positive, because that's what we all want. The 5 people sitting up there on the board, the administration, all of us, we love our kids, we love our community, and we want what's best. So thank you again for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Julie.
Good evening, and I would also like to thank this opportunity from our school district, from our board. I think it's very important that to move forward for the success, not only of our students, but our community, is to start with the people in charge. Are our teachers in the right spots to lead our children into success? I do currently have 2 students, a junior and a sophomore, and I hear their concerns. Some of their concerns are, we need real-time turnaround from grades, from homework that's turned in, maybe to getting response, to be prepared for that next test. Whether that's making sure that our faculty is adequately trained on the Skyward app, making sure that they're comfortable reaching out to parents if they see some delays, or making sure that our children are prepared for their academic journey. I think we are doing so many great things. I think through this pandemic year, we've had to evolve so quickly that a lot of things maybe were taken for granted, but these kids are in it. They're excited. They want to be in school. And I love that we're here. I love that this opportunity has been given to the community and to the parents. So I thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm David Maurer. I'm currently the Resource Director and Development Director for the Boys and Girls Club of Morgan County. And I've been a part of the Morgan County, if you will, philanthropic community here for the last 3 years or so, working for a variety of agencies. And one thing I will say that, and even given the world of pandemic last year that we found ourselves in, I found myself very impressed with Dr. Arthur, with Jane, and the rest of the administration moving forward. And one thing from, if you will, a provider of services in Morgan County that I see myself that I've been very impressed with is I really found the administration here willing to tear down the silos that have separated us so that we can work together to care for the needs of the community, in particular here in Martinsville. And that has been very impressive on my end to see that and to have that kind of experience, as I could pick the phone up and reach out to Dr. Arthur, and we've had a handful of meetings over the last couple of years. And I want to say that is one element that I would really encourage each of you, the administration, the school board as well, to continue to utilize the resources, even outside your walls here, to be able to take care and touch and reach out to the various organizations that are here to help and to be a complement to what you're doing here. So I want to say thank you for that and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brittany Bentley. I am currently the president of the Community Foundation of Morgan County. I was named to the position in August, but I've been there since 2016, and since then we have done amazing things with this school. And that's what I want to see continue. We've given grants for mental health so that we had a social worker at from Youth First in John Wooden Middle School. We gave unrestricted funding during COVID to help you guys with whatever you needed during those times, whether it be e-learning supplies, which I believe Dr. Arthur let me know that they used the grant to provide some internet travel devices for our students. We also provide over $160,000 to the community in scholarships. The majority of those are here in MSD of Martinsville. I work with multiple people in the administration and the schools, and I have always felt welcome, and we've always been able to work together collaboratively, and I just hope that for the future. And then just like David said, please, like if there's a resource that many of you are concerned about, if the school board's concerned about, and we have the funding to do so, please never hesitate to contact me. But we've always had a really good relationship with the school, and I just want to see that continue. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you all for setting this up. It's a great opportunity to get to talk about things we can do that will benefit our kiddos. I've got an 8th grader and a 4th grader here, and I didn't graduate from here. I went to Pike High School, and at Pike we had more opportunity for vocational and trade education. So I am a pipe fitter, and there are not enough young people interested in being pipe fitters. There's not enough young people interested in being brick masons. There's not enough young people interested in being electricians or iron workers. So I'd like to see us get more exposure to what building trades have to offer for all of our young people. These are great jobs where these people make $30 to $40 an hour in wages and $25 an hour in benefits. And they get a good protected retirement and good insurance. So, and then training with an apprenticeship program, you typically go through 4 to 5 years and you don't have any debt when you get out. Wouldn't that be great instead of all the college debt? If you come out and you have a trade and you have skills and you can earn your way through life and not start out with heavy debt. So I'd love to see us, connect union representatives with the school board or with our building trades teachers. And then also, any of the vocational classes that we have that we can expand on would be really good for these kids. I think for me, I was somebody that didn't really like school very much. English wasn't my forte for sure. And, for a lot of those kids, they might feel set aside in our school systems of today, being, in these systems and processes where you have to write everything down and be grammatically correct and work through all that. So get out on a construction job and you need to have a good work ethic and a mechanical aptitude, and you're in demand and you're valuable. I think there's a lot of kids that maybe don't feel like they have that college aptitude, and they need to know there's a lot of great opportunities for them. So that's what I'd like to see us do.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Susan Burley. I have two children who graduated through the MSD of Martinsville, and one's currently in college and also serving in the military, and my other son is a mechanical engineer. Both of them had fabulous educations through the school system, and my late husband and I are very grateful for that and for the fabulous teachers that supported them and challenged them, and that's what I want to see continue. I want to see that we focus on education for all students, regardless of what their path in life is. And like the gentleman before me said, we need to make sure as taxpayers, as community members, that our students graduate from the MSD of Martinsville and have opportunities to become productive adults that can earn a living wage. So whether that is college, whether that is career, vocational, military, our alternative program, since I've been participating and attending board meetings for probably the last 4 or 5 years, we've had changes in the school system to the alternative program. That concerns me greatly because if we don't get students getting their high school diploma, they're not going to be employable in the future, and that affects all of us as taxpayers and citizens, as well as those individual students and families. I also really want to say thank you to the board for your support over the last year, to the teachers and administrators who are here tonight, and to those who may be listening. You all have done and continue to do a phenomenal job flying the plane while you're building it through this time of the pandemic, and I think you've probably heard a lot of the complaints. I hope you've heard a lot of the positives. Along with that, I think it's critically important that we are back in school 5 days a week in the building in the fall. Our students need that for their education. They desperately need it for their mental and social health. I have significant worries about the long-term effects on some of the pandemic things and kids being out of the school building, and appreciate the partnerships of the different organizations like the Community Foundation who help to provide resources for that. And it's that community partnership that makes it important. And I think, for parents who are planning for next year, as a parent, especially if you have younger age children right now, it's April. You're thinking about summer, you're thinking about fall. You have to know what your plans are. So, is there going to be an e-learning or remote learning opportunity next year? People need to know that so they can make decisions. Or what will the option be in that regard? But I do think it's in the best benefit of our students, and from most of the teachers that I've talked with and that I know, they want to be in the building, they want their kiddos, they're concerned about their education and their social and emotional well-being. So as a concerned citizen, and again, member of the community, I want to see Martinsville continue to thrive. We're going to have different opportunities because of 69 coming in, and I want the students who graduate from the MSD to have lots of employment opportunities because we're going to have different industries coming here. So I think there's good things happening, and I hope we continue those. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you for having this. I'm excited that there's communication going on. My name is Susan Smith. I have a sophomore, and I'd like to echo some of what the vocational opportunities, we need more vocational opportunities. I have a daughter who came home devastated because she has no more math classes she can take. She's taken all there are offered. So what I would like to see is, I know she's in the minority. She's, like I said, she's taken every math class there is. Most of the science ones as well. She's not got enough classes to keep her busy with her passion through her senior year. So I would like to see if there was a way to collaborate with more schools or more opportunities for some of these students who take all of the classes that are offered, and then they run out. We're also a little concerned about her foreign language class because it may not continue. And we're concerned that she would have to start over with a new language as a junior. And we're not sure what kind of opportunities there are. So I'm glad to hear that there is communication going on, because I did not grow up in Martinsville. I'm not used to having the ability to ask questions of the school board, to ask questions of the school. So I didn't know where to ask these questions. So I'm not sure if this was the right forum, but I thought this was the best forum. We would like to get some more opportunities, maybe for some of, like, the vocational students, that it may not be for everyone, but it is the passion, and then we need to keep the passion alive for these kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Class of 77, don't write that down, Jackie.
Okay.
Grandmother of 12, two graduated from the schools, youngest being a week old today. So I have 10 coming through here. As a grandparent, I do a lot with these 10, and one of my main concerns, I'm old school here, old school, is attendance. Attendance. I talked to several people about attendance, and I had an unfortunate event today. One fell through the cracks. One of my grandkids is, I don't know whose responsibility it is to report it or to take care of it. Do we have a truant officer? Do they work? Do they have another job? Are they too busy? So she will be retained back because she missed 50 days of school. And I just found out today. So, and I know that there is a problem with attendance in some of the schools because I've got some people on the inside, that said, yeah. And it's unfortunate, but she's going to be held back, but she's young. She'll bounce back. And another problem is I was watching TV a year or two ago, and they were reporting on bullying, and Martinsville had 0 reports. 0? Are you kidding? There's plenty of bullying going on. The drugs are going on, too. The bullying, though, I know that if they don't report it to the state, I believe that would be less money, and that would make us a 4-star school. I'm not worried about a 4-star school. I don't care about the 4-star school. I want my 10 grandkids to come through school, and I don't want them to have to worry about bullying and drugs and stuff like that. It's there. And when it's dealt with, I think they should just maybe go by, I haven't read it, maybe I need to get one and read it, and I would if I had a copy. I don't do internet and all that kind of stuff. Maybe just go by the handbook. There's a handbook, I guess, there's available. Maybe people could use it and go back to it. I'm old school. I don't think they go by it. I think some people, get their slaps on the wrist and do whatever. And I remember one of mine got in trouble in school. I don't remember what he did. He said, hey, I'm out for 3 days. And I said, you're at home for 3 days, too. And he said the other kid, he got in-school suspension and something else. He had lunch with one of the teachers or whatever. And I said, that's right. I want you in trouble where you're supposed to be, because then you'll learn better. Because if you just get a slap on the wrist or whatever, it's not going to do any good. But them's my main concerns. Like I said, I'm old school. Attendance and reporting. The bullying, I know, is not getting reported. When I seen that on TV, I immediately, the next day, wrote down 10 people, and I called them all. They all laughed at me. Said, Lana, that's not true. It's just not being reported. So what if we report a few? Like I said, I'd rather get our schools running good just like they always have back when I was in school and not worry about that 4-star school and more money. It ain't all about money. But anyways,
you guys doing a good job so far. Thanks for having us. Like I said, my name's Lana Farron, just a concerned grandparent. And those are my main concerns. Like I said, it may be not, they're talking, everybody's got all these other things, but like I said, we get those kids in school, and they've served consequences with what they really do, and they do get in that little bit of trouble, whatever. I think we'll have some better kids coming up, than what's out there right now on the streets. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Lana.
Bill Mitchell, bus driver, 33 years. I've raised a lot of kids, and a lot of kids talk about the school. I had a daughter who went through school here and graduated. I've had a lot of sayings. You guys were part of the lowest point of our lives in this Martinsville school system. We've had one, since then we've had two superintendents. One was very good. She cleaned up some of the area. We got one now that's very honest and cleaned up things very good. So if you guys have done a good job. But a lot of our trouble in Martinsville is a location. I've got kids on my bus up there. I'm in the northeast part of the school district. I have 15 to 17 kids. Some of them go to Monrovia, some of them go to Mooresville, because it's convenience and location. Because I had two boys played football in Martinsville, Hunter Smith and Matt Shrake. And Mom told me, both of them told me, that it took an hour to go from Observatory Road to Martinsville and pick up their boys and go back home. And since the state changed the law where the money follows the child, that's the reason why a lot of kids are not coming to Martinsville, because Mom and Dad's going to Indianapolis to work, and they'd rather have them go to Mooresville or Decatur Central than come to Martinsville. So it's not nothing wrong with the teachers. It's just a location of them to go there. And being some money follows the student, they're going to go there. Not that anything you guys have done wrong, but it just needs to get better. We went from the lowest point in history of Martinsville to up to now to Mr. Arthur. Mr. Buckner has taken a great lead. And the last teacher, you had a teachers meeting the other day, and that one teacher said that nobody should come in from the outside. She was retiring. She spoke out. Well, I disagree. I think we need teachers from the outside to come into Martinsville with different ideals and different ways of doing things rather than just run down the same old path. Because the same old path, you get the boys and ladies got luggage on their back. They don't want to change anything, but they want to stay down the middle of the path. So that's pretty much the way I see it. But I've had, like I said, 33 years of driving a school bus, so I've had a lot of bullying. I've heard a lot of things about the school system, but it's getting better. It's getting much better because the kids don't talk near about it now. But anyway, but you don't put down the school system, but you're not getting any bullying in the school system. The state knows different. The state knows very well what happens. I got a sister that works for the state, and she tells me, the teachers, the people that don't turn anything for bullying, they're just trying to do it for money. They're not being honest with their clientele of school teachers, going to school. And then I also heard, because I'm in a lot of different organizations, and the last week I've heard a lot of things about the teachers were afraid to say anything last week because they was worried about their job. They don't want to be honest with the school board. They'll talk to Mr. Buckner, but when they talk to the school board, they don't think you guys are being fair with them. So that's my spiel.
Thank you, Bill.
Good evening. I'm Jen Knuckles Stafford, a longtime Artesian, first-time speaker at a school board meeting. I'm also the parent of a third grade student, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. Before I start, though, I want to first say thank you, because it took some extraordinary efforts this past year to reach students during a time when we all had to be 6 feet apart. So I want to make sure I first say thank you to all the Martinsville school personnel for working so hard and working so creatively during this pandemic. The pandemic has led to some accommodations that I hope will stay in place, such as broadcasting school board meetings on YouTube. Because of this, I was able to watch last week's school board meeting, a workshop session just like this one for teachers and staff. And I applaud those who spoke last week for their bravery and for their candor. As a parent, it means the world to see teachers and staff who genuinely care about their students. So I want to say thank you to them also for sharing their hearts with our community. One of those who spoke to you last week was one of our school psychologists, and I want to echo some of the comments that she made here tonight. Martinsville teachers and staff are currently undergoing what is called ALICE training. That's training where they are learning ways to respond in the event of a school shooting. Here's what the psychologist said. We learned valuable things, but my questioning of that is that we are attacking these problems on the wrong end. All of these problems are what to do after a student of ours has already reached the point where they are so desperate that it's the only thing they can think to do. She continued. They have to start thinking about mental health and taking it seriously in this corporation. They can't neglect this element of education, of teaching students the proper social and emotional skills. So here's my first suggestion for making our district stronger. Let's focus on developing those social and emotional skills, particularly after the year that we have all experienced. We all could use some help developing those skills. Let's put a focus on our students' mental and physical health. I would like to see Martinsville schools follow the recommendation of the American Academy of Pediatrics and move our school times back to 8:30 or later. There's a large body of evidence that documents the ill effects on youth who don't get enough sleep. Something as simple as sleep. Science shows that when young people begin puberty, their biological clocks shift. They typically become sleepy later, as late as 11 o'clock at night. And they need to sleep later in the morning to get the recommended 8 to 10 hours of sleep each night. Young people who regularly get less than 8 hours of sleep per night are more likely to be overweight, to suffer from depression, to engage in risky behaviors, and to perform poorly in school. Another change I would recommend is returning 5th grade students back to the elementary schools. Research shows that multiple school transitions have a negative impact on student achievement. Research also shows the importance of unstructured play in childhood development. In a culture that stresses success, children are bombarded daily to grow up too quickly. In fact, many psychologists believe that growing up too fast can have devastating effects. We have become a culture of super everything, including super kids, pressuring children into premature adults and making them overly competitive. Because it's not possible to accelerate emotional maturity, since all of our emotions go on our own individual time clocks. Children may act grown up, but they don't feel grown up. Children may appear to be speaking as an adult, but their feelings inside are the feelings of a child. Then we have late bloomers, children who do not succeed early on. Since these herd children must be successful, they are perceived as unsuccessful if they can't compete. As a result, children are stressed to develop academic skills beyond their capabilities and may develop anxiety syndromes to accommodate this stress. So I vote to give our kids one more year of just being kids. My third recommendation is for our elementary school librarians to become full-time teachers again, rather than just 29-hour-a-week aides. And this, when I was in school at Martinsville, that's how it was. And I assume it was a financial choice to have to cut those hours back, but I would like to see them reinstated. And I can speak a little bit to this because I was an elementary school teacher here for a year, and I couldn't cut it. I didn't feel like I had the support to do the job that needed to be done. Because the elementary school librarians do everything that the teachers are doing, but they have to do it in a condensed time frame, and they do it for much less pay. This shortchanges both the people who are serving as our librarians and the students that they serve. Studies in 21 states, including here in Indiana, have shown that having a certified librarian at school leads to significantly higher student achievement. Critical thinking, the ability to discern real news from fake news, information retrieval and evaluation. These are skills that employers look for, and these are things that are taught in a school library. All of those points were about number 2 of the list of questions that you all presented to us. So before I go, I'd like to briefly address the first question that was posed. What do you believe is important for students to be successful at school in the MSD of Martinsville? Honestly, I think the best thing that could happen for our Martinsville students is if our community started electing legislators and government officials who value public education and public educators. Here are some facts. Indiana ranks last in the Midwest in terms of teacher pay. Indiana ranks 41st in the nation in per pupil funding. More than 90% of all the students in Indiana attend public schools. But the current budget bill that's in the Indiana legislature right now will divert nearly $400 million from public schools to fund private school vouchers and another privatization program called education savings accounts. MSD of Martinsville will stand to lose nearly $700,000 in the next year if this budget is passed. In 2022, our schools could lose up to $1 million. If we care about our public schools, we need to ensure that our elected officials care about them too. Thanks.
Thank you, Jen.
Hello, my name is Zara Heilman. I am a parent. I have 4 kids that are in elementary, well, 2 of them are in elementary school, and I have 2 preschoolers who will be in the preschool program next year. It is intimidating to get up here and talk in front of everyone. I had not intended to come, and I watched the video last week of our teachers here, and I read the article in the paper, and I wanted to come and say, I see you, teachers. I see those teachers that are working hard every day to make our school a success. I love our teachers. I feel like in a crappy, terrible year, we've done overall pretty good. And I think this forum, which I appreciate, is a great time to say, okay, we survived, now what can we do better? And I think that's what we're looking for, and that's what those teachers were saying. They had ideas, they had ways to pay for those ideas. Teachers are the thriftiest people you will ever meet. I wrote a whole bunch of stuff. I typed it. I was going to read this, and now I'm completely off track. But what makes our students successful are those teachers, are those staff people, are the cafeteria lady that takes time to give your kid a high five or a sticker or have a coloring contest. Those staff people make the difference every day for kids. And for a lot of our kids, they're spending more time at school than they are at home. They go straight from school to sporting events, to other activities, they go to bed. I think that our teachers and our staff need to feel value. They need to feel like they belong. And I think a lot of them, said, okay, it's okay if you don't give me a raise this year. I know this is a hard year, because that's the heart of a teacher. That's the people you're looking for. But I think we also need to take the time to say, I think you're doing a great job. And I care about your feedback because you are in the trenches with these kids every day. I have a first grader who uses an iPad. I was very disappointed at the response from the administration about the iPads. I'm not a part of any of those discussions, but I think if every single kindergarten and first grade teacher told me, if you want learning to start day one with these students, and the best tool for that for us is iPads, I would do everything I could to make sure that my kids had iPads. My son uses an iPad and he uses Seesaw every day, for something in the classroom with e-learning, and it's an easy transition for him. I have a third grader who is able to use a Chromebook. Second grade is a little bit of a transition year, going from a Chromebook to an iPad. And I think, I am an adult. And sometimes, I'm like, where's the app? And these kids are awesome. They're adaptable. They're picking technology up. And it's the way that it was worded made me feel like, we hear your concerns, but we're going to do something anyway. Something different anyways. And that's okay, but then have a reason for it. Because I think the biggest complaint that I had of growing success, growing the relationship between our teachers, staff, and administrators is letting their voices be heard. It's okay if it's like, that's not going to work out this year. We don't have the money for that, but I hear you, I see you, I want to be working with you on that issue. I think that a lot of the teacher workshop, it seemed like the teachers felt like that they were given jobs, they were added responsibilities, they changed things, and no one ever asked them, like, hey, it's a really hard year, school counselors, and we're really bombarded with all this e-learning. We need you to start grading stuff on e-learning things now. And recognizing, okay, if you're doing all this e-learning grading, that's going to take away from your job. What are we going to do to support you? Like, it's a fine balance, and I recognize that, but it's like the give and take of, like, who is doing the extra counseling if half of the 4 counselors we have are spending half of their days grading. And I think that sets all of our students back. For the next 2 years, I think that I would really like to see the teachers feel more supported. And I think that includes a pay raise. I'm not doing the budget, but I think any person working in America, expects some type of raise every year. Costs are not going down to buy milk and bread and groceries, and you're not going to have happy teachers if they can't pay their bills at the end of the month, or they've spent their half of their paycheck on things for their classroom. I think that we also need to look at, because it was something that was brought up in the teacher work session, is the STEM education. My kids go to Brooklyn. They have an amazing STEM program. They're learning all kinds of amazing STEM stuff. And it was really discouraging to hear when you get to 5th grade, there's not really a handoff. There's no baton between 4th grade and 5th grade in this STEM education. And STEM careers are growing. I think that is also true with the vocation, trades. Those things are important, and we should be investing in them. There's a quote that I think should be the way that we should think about it, and it says, "We are currently preparing students for jobs that don't yet exist, using technology that hasn't been invented in order to solve problems we don't even know are problems yet." I think that is the type of student that we should be striving for at the MSD of Martinsville. And with that, I'll end it on a good quote. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Like everyone else said, thank you for doing this tonight. I really appreciate it. A couple things I'd like to see is create a parent, student, teacher, administrative committee. where ideas can be shared like we are tonight, but having people and do this in each school so that it's reflective of that school and students and parents together. I know there's like PTOs and PTAs or whatever they want to call them, but I think it's important to have students on that as well, because they're the ones that are seeing things from one view, the teachers are seeing it from another. An administration person would be important to have on there because they're seeing things from another lens. We all look at things differently. And so I think having a committee in each school, and I have asked for this, would be important, because I hear my students' concerns, and they say that they tell their staff and teachers, but nothing happens. So I think that might be helpful. More dual college credit classes. One of the reasons why I chose to send my kids here originally was because those were offered. I've now since learned this year that several have been discontinued, and that's extremely disappointing. My daughter plans to be a general surgeon, and she has a lot of years of education ahead of her, and it's pretty disappointing that the plan that we planned out for all 4 years of her high school, we did her schedule, both online classes, summer classes, and schedule, basically is not going to happen now because of multiple situations, from what I understand from her counselor, but somewhat to do within the district and decisions that have been made. Creating a school district that is accountable to the community and cares and listens to parents and students with a true desire to find a fair solution that is acceptable to parents and students. And I think to some of the comments that have been made tonight, I already have this written out, but when you create a desirable school district, it will improve our entire community, which will improve how our schools are viewed by our community. And it'll also create pride in our school system and in our community. Schools, I think everyone agrees, are an important piece of fabric in a community. Friday night high school game, football games, that's been a tradition for decades in our country. So a school system and creating one that is desirable, that will take care of all the funding issues. There won't be funding issues, because if you're desirable, people are going to want to send their kids here, and instead of taking them to Mooresville or Decatur, as some have mentioned, or Center Grove or Bloomington or Franklin or Plainfield, they'll bring them here. But that takes a lot of work, and there has to be desire and a passion to do that. And when you do that, people will come. The old saying, build it and they will come. They will. You see that. You see it with restaurants that are packed and restaurants that are empty. It's about the delivery and the service and the passion that those people have to make their business to be the best it can be. More focus on college and career planning. Beginning in 7th grade, there are some opportunities that my daughter has missed out on because of a lack of knowledge. There are not people available in the district. You have to do all the research on your own. Fortunately, I have 2 daughters, so I have one that's older, so my younger daughter benefits from the things that I learned from my older daughters, missing out on some things. But I haven't found anyone who's really super knowledgeable about all the things that you need to do. Again, with my daughter wanting to be a general surgeon, we're trying to do everything we can to prepare for her future, and there's just a lot of things that are missing, and you get different answers that just are all over the board. So providing, this year they've said that on Wednesdays they're doing training. Man, it would have been really great if someone in the district was being trained on, there's companies, organizations that do college and career planning. I'm sure many of you are aware of that, with your being familiar with the school district and having kids who've went to college already. But there's a lot that can be done, and it would be such a great resource for our entire high school to have a person who is super well versed in all the things that students can do to be as prepared as possible for college. And not just prepared, but to put themselves at an advantage so that there's no question that they're going to get into the college that they want to get into. There's no question that they're going to get scholarships to some level because they're more than just average prepared. They're well prepared. And that's what I would be looking for in the next few years. Thank you.
Thank you, Dallas. That's all that signed up? Sure can.
My name is Natalie Reese. I am a 2000 graduate of Martinsville. I'm married to Barrick Reese, who is also a 2000 graduate of Martinsville. We have 2 boys in elementary school, 4th and 3rd grade. They are Brooklyn STEM students, and I kind of feel it's important to say that we pulled our children out of another school district, my kindergarten, who's now in 4th grade, and moved them to Brooklyn because it just wasn't a fit where we were. There were some things that I had seen with my son in kindergarten that concerned me, and it wasn't until I got to Brooklyn that I was heard. So with that being said, to go back to last week's teacher workshop, I just would like for the teachers who did get up and speak to be applauded for being able to get up here and do that, because I can't imagine worrying about my job to speak my opinions. So I would just like to say thank you for getting up here and doing that, because if my school that I currently am in right now did not listen to me, we would not have gotten a dysgraphia test to test my child who I thought had dyslexia, and they said that he didn't. He had a strong reading game, but he's having a problem getting them on paper. So in 3rd grade, Mrs. Rollins worked so well with me and the principal and the school psychologist that we were actually able to get a test in the district to test for dysgraphia. So with that being said, also, e-learning was very difficult with a child who had a new IEP, and we're at home. Now, with that being said as well, we had a wonderful communication between the people we work with for that, but it's just not the same if we're at home and they need to be at school. I'm not a teacher, I'm a stay-at-home mother, and he just gets so much more from them at school. So I really would like to see the 5-day work week back in school. E-learning was very difficult and toxic in our home this year. I have a 3rd grader, and he's very stubborn, and we're at home. We have a dog. We have the trucks driving down the road. It's very hard to focus. We don't have a big home where we could set aside an office to do e-learning. So for that to, it was just very difficult this year at home. So I'm looking forward to summer break and having the mom-child relationship where we can enjoy each other. So I really hope to see that. Also, going into the transition, I know that was kind of brought up tonight. My 4th grader is going into 5th grade. He's a Brooklyn STEM student. He is also the child with dysgraphia, which the hands-on learning education works wonderful for him. I would like to see that more towards the 5th and 6th grade level. And I think there's a woman that had mentioned she'd like to see 5th grade back in elementary. I'm on the same team. I really am not a fan of the 5th and 6th grade. I know there are people who are, but my son about made me cry at Christmas break because the Brooklyn STEM had the new building put on, and he said, "Mommy, we're going to have a 5th grade classroom at Brooklyn. They're adding it on, so I'll be able to go to 5th grade." I said, "Honey, I hate to bust your bubble, but that's not what they're doing." So he was very disappointed and heartbroken. He's not ready to leave the STEM school. I'm not ready. I'm very comfortable with him being there. And somebody else had brought up planning. What are your plans for the next year? Parents need to know. That is very true. I need to know as a parent what the protocols are going to be next year for my 5th grader leaving Brooklyn. As it stands now, I have had no concerns with e-learning as e-learning goes because I trust my teachers. I trust them. I worked well with them. I'm going into a new building. My son doesn't know this new building. Are we going to allow parents to go in for orientation? I want to be with my son going into a new building. I do not want to be left out of that like the parents had during the pandemic last year. That was very upsetting for me to hear. I will be very upset and probably like on the verge of not wanting him to be in Martinsville if I can't be, I mean, my kid is going to be in that building. I want to be able to go in that building and see what they're doing. I don't know if that makes any sense or if I sound crazy, but I really want to be involved in that. I'd also like to see, I know with the pandemic and the virus, it's been different. I'm not trying to exclude that, but these teachers have had loads added onto them with the extra e-learning. I would like to see at least allowing one or two parents like myself who stays home, and that was my goal, is to be as much of a help for the school as I can. I was planning on volunteering at the school this year to do copying, not just for my teachers that my kids had, but to offer it to anyone else in the building, because, I mean, my son's a 4th grade. He's been there since 1st grade. I have gotten to know all the teachers, and there isn't anything I wouldn't do for any one of them there. So I would go in and volunteer. So I would like to see that. I mean, if you have to take a COVID test, you have to wear your mask, whatever. I would just like to be able to go in and help them with the copying if they need it. So I'd like to see at least some kind of a program come back where we can get it back, parents in the building to help the teachers if they need to. I would like to see that. I really also would like it if, I always told my husband, we're the only advocates that are going to be there for our children. I can stand here in front of you and say, I don't feel that way. My teachers are the best advocate for my kids in the school system. They have my kids in the classroom every day. They see what they need. They see what they're doing. And if they come and they have if they have a problem or if they have a suggestion, I would like for them to be heard and not dismissed. They have my kids in the classroom. I respect them as teachers. So I would like to see them receive the same respect that I'm giving them, because they have my kids. My life is in their building 5 days a week typically. And I just would like to see them receive the respect they deserve when they do have opinions to share. That's all I'd like to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Natalie. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Hi, my name's Sean Sylvester. I've been with in the district for probably about 15 years now. We've had 2 kids who went through the school system. One's in college and one's about to go back to college. And we've got a freshman right now here in school, and then we've got an 8th grader as well. And a couple of things that I'd like to see is, number one, more emphasis on personal finances. I know when I was growing up, going through school, there was really very little taught about that. Fortunately enough, I had a mentor when I went into the trade that I'm in, and told me to put into my 401k. And understanding how, how that money compounds, over the years. Most kids don't understand this. And I think it gives hope, number one. And then number two, as far as personal finance, we talk about mental health. There's some good points about that. But part of that is, when we're stressed, what are the couple things that we do? We either go on Amazon, we buy something because we think it's going to make us feel better, or we eat. Those are a couple of things that we do, right? I mean, most people do that stuff. Understanding how those purchases affect us, how it affects us in the future. That's a big deal, and it's a big deal to mental health, because if you don't feel good about yourself, and you've got bill collectors calling you all the time, it's a tough road for people. And, I went through a little bit of that at an early age, but got past it, luckily. But a lot of kids, a lot of, possibly people in this room, they're struggling with that right now. And that's something that I think the school system could really help us with. To me, that falls under mental health. It really does. Number two, I think getting back to 5 days a week. From what I've gathered, and I may be wrong on the statistics here, but I believe all the school systems around us are back to 5 days a week. So I would just want a little transparency as to why we're not back to 5 days. If there's facts around that, then fine. But I want to make sure we're dealing in facts and not feelings. Our kids have suffered enough, all of them, from not being in school. And there's a lot of different things with that, the socialization. That's so important. But you also have single parents out there. You know, what are they doing on Wednesdays? You know, that's a big deal to people. So getting back to 5 days a week, I think that's something we need to know. We need to get a plan together on that if there isn't one already. And you know, for myself and several other parents that I know, we need to know that pretty timely here because there's some decisions we have to make. And like I said, you know, I was tennis coach here for 7 years. You know, we've been in the community a while, and we certainly want to stay here. But if we're not going to deal in facts, then, you know, we have to make the best decision for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Is there anyone else?
My name is Mark Maurer. I have 2 graduates from Martinsville High School that I'm the parent of. I got one in 6th grade right now at Bell Intermediate. Again, like everybody else, I thank you for hosting this forum. I haven't seen anything like this yet until now. It's good to be able to express our concerns as parents and community members. Me and my wife has been discussing. She's had been the president of the Bell Intermediate Parent Council this year, so she's really had to find new ways. Her and Mr. Setteroff, and I think it's Miss Salmons. That's the assistant principal over there. Finding new ways to still be a part of that and still help out the kids, help out the teachers in multiple different ways. I've seen them, you know, jump through hoops for the kids this year. It's those struggles with the COVID that's been, of course, not being able to enter the school. That was a kind of the downfall in that, but they've worked through it, provided. I think they've done an excellent job at Bell for that this year. But some of the things that we would like to see as parents was, you know, we know a lot of the kids, as great as technology is, we've moved away from doing anything on paper. We've, you know, moved away from, and it's been a big shove, just the technology. My son that graduated last year, he was one of those that got into trouble on the computer. And it was a big hassle, you know, dealing with, you know, because everything had to be there on that technology. Everything had to be on the Chromebook, and adding filters after filters. Okay, that's great, but he keeps breaking it. He keeps finding ways through the technology, and whereas that's in some ways you think that's good that he can outsmart the technology, it also got him into trouble. So, I mean, being able to kind of get away from the technology altogether, use it as a tool, don't use it as it has to be everything. I realize jobs and stuff require it, but there's jobs and stuff that require the normal education too, that the paper, hard facts, you know, doing it, you know, cursive writing and everything, as being able to sign your name. I mean, kids are struggling with that now that we've kind of got away from teaching kids cursive. And I realize that's not just our district, it's everywhere. But we got to use it more as tools and use it, you know, not just as a sole education thing. And then like some of our other people have said, our elementary schools have the STEM for Brooklyn. We got language, the Spanish program that was going through Poston. I think South is the communication school and was, focusing on that. Smith is the fine arts, and all these schools were, doing this push. And like we said, they kind of stops it when they get out of that school and there's nothing there and everything. And we either need to get away from that or find a way to, let it go on, let it progress to where these students can continue on in those programs. I think it's, vital for their social skills and stuff like that. If they've started in something, it's like, anything else, you get it taken away from you, and you kind of hit a rough spot there, and a transition period that is harder than just moving the school. So that's kind of some of the big things that we were talking about between me and my wife last night that really are some key issues here that we would like to see in the next 2 years, kind of find a way to solve those problems. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else? Last chance. Okay. Again, we want to thank everyone for being here this evening. At the beginning of the meeting, we asked for everybody's professionalism in the way we handled our opinions here this evening, and I want to compliment you on that. It's really interesting for us to see such a wide range of ideas and thoughts and opinions, and I think that's a really positive thing. I know it's difficult. Several people have mentioned that here this evening, how difficult it is to get up here and stand in front of people and express your opinions, and especially to the teachers that were here last week. Our idea, obviously, would be to have enough of these forums where it becomes a little bit more comfortable for people to get up here and speak, because we want you to not feel intimidated. We want you to feel relaxed when you do have an opinion about something and want some questions answered. So again, thanks to everybody. Again, as I said when we started, this is the third of 3 work sessions that the board has had over the course of the last 8 days. And we will get together and we will collect our thoughts and put all this together as we formulate a plan to move forward here for our district. So again, this concludes our evening. Thanks for attending. We do have school board meeting. We have a public school board meeting coming up this Thursday at the CEC, and its start time is 7 o'clock. You're always welcome. We would love to see you there. Again, thanks. Have a great